This is the Surly Grognards for October 2nd, 2012. This is Peter Bowman, and I'm joined here by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How you doing, Eric?
Hey, what's up?
Hmm, same as the usual,
Right,
pretty
right.
much.
Hello, all humans.
Yes. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about more of our favorite moments in gaming. This has nothing to do with the fact that we didn't come up with the topic during the week. Nope, not at all.
Not at all. This is not our our standby for shit. What do we talk about this week?
Yeah, I was going to come up with a topic this weekend, but then I had to do a whole bunch of rewriting for the Shadowlands game, which ended up wrapping up this Sunday.
Which is
Uh,
sad making.
yeah, well, it happens. All campaigns come to an end, um, and I had to basically, revamp a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up not spending time thinking about, topics.
Right.
But at any rate, so we're going to talk for a while about our favorite moments in some more of our favorite moments in RPG in tabletop gaming, not just RPGs. Um, and as usual, guys, we'll probably leave some time at the end of the show for questions if you guys have any. If you've got a question, you can always email us at surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards @yahoo.com. Or if you're listening to us live here on twitch.tv/mechagm, you can ask us in the chat at the end of the show, or you ask during the show, and we'll probably answer it during the show because, well, we don't have a structured topic this week, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
if you've got questions and you want to save it to the end, feel free to do that. You guys know the deal. So, Eric, uh,
Yes.
you got anything off the top of your head that you want to talk about? Favorite moments?
Um, I'm not sure if I've discussed this before, but I was just thinking about the first time I ever played Arkham Horror, which is a great cooperative tabletop game. The idea being you're trying to stop insert random old one here from awakening and destroy the world. Except we totally missed the part where it said cooperative.
Oh
So we're
dear.
basically running around trying to take one another out and screw each other, as though we were playing diplomacy or Game of Thrones or something. And yeah, it was special.
Oh dear. So what ended up happening?
I seem to remember like being two of us being in a position to like last minute Hail Mary play to save save the Earth from the old one, but both of us being more concerned with the other one stabbing us in the back.
So the world got eaten, huh?
So the world got eaten because we did not trust each other because, well, let's face facts. I totally would have shooted him in the back given the opportunity. He probably would have done the same because we totally missed the cooperative part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. So what stood out about that to you? I mean, beyond the fact that you guys sort of got the sort of the point of the game off a bit there. Anything?
It's just that we got the point of the game so completely off. Like we could not have been playing that game more wrong without outright breaking the rules.
I see.
We just completely missed the point of it. It wasn't until afterward when we sit there and did like a post mortem of what went wrong. Went, oh, cooperative.
Wow, it never would have occurred to me that that game would be not cooperative.
It didn't occur to us that it would be.
I guess I played more cooperative board games before that than you had.
Definitely, that was my first cooperative board game.
Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah, there are a few of them out there, and I've actually really enjoyed some of them. First one I played was probably the Lord of the Rings board game that got released a while back.
I never played that one.
I have a copy of it. It's a good game. It's long though. Um,
A lot of these tend to be. A lot of the
yeah,
better ones tend to be really long. You have to like dedicate a whole day to it and whatnot.
it's not quite that bad. It's closer to like 2 hours or so though.
Right.
But yeah, I don't really have anything memorable from Lord of the Rings. I'd say I do have some good memories of. There's another great cooperative board game put out by Z-Man Games called Pandemic,
Huh.
which I've had a lot of fun playing. The basic premise of the game is Well, basically, the players playing the game, you are all members of the CDC, and you're trying to stop, world outbreaks of diseases before, a pandemic occurs and, life on Earth is doomed.
Okay. Because supervillains?
No, because pandemics theoretically can happen.
Yeah, this is true. We're actually due for one,
We hope not.
which is a depressing subject that we're not going to discuss
Yes,
today
but
because today is light and fun, and we're going to blow up robots,
probably.
dinosaurs, and dinosaur robots. We're going to blow up dinosaur robots.
Sweet. But yeah, no, the game itself has a lot of well, it's a game that you really couldn't play not cooperatively. It's pretty blatantly obvious as a co-op game.
Right.
Um, and basically the way it's structured, there are a bunch of cards, and at the start of each turn, you reveal certain cards, which tells you where a bit more disease is showing up. You have to go deal with that.
Right.
And every now and then in that deck of cards, there is a card called Outbreak, where you basically you have to reveal a whole bunch of the cards that tell you what cities. There are two decks of cards. One
Okay.
is basically you draw cards that help you either move around the map, or you can use them to. They basically each card has a different city on them, and you can use them to do a few different things. And if you get enough of them in the same color, basically each of the diseases are represented by little colored blocks that you
Okay.
have on the table, and each one represents some number of people who have that disease. And if you get enough cards of the appropriate color, you can, if you get yourself to a CDC center, you can work on an antidote, not an antidote, vaccine.
Vaccine. Yes.
And so,
Yes, because antidotes are for poisons.
right. So you can work on a cure for it, basically. That's actually what I'm looking for. Both vaccine and a cure. And
Cool.
then you can basically, at that point, it you can basically eradicate the disease from the game, which is great. And you have to do this before there's
Before
several
it
different things.
gets
Basically, you have to there's a little doomsday counter that goes down the side of the map every time something really really bad happens.
okay.
So you basically have to wipe out basically treat all the diseases in the game before either the doomsday counter hits the loss condition point,
Right.
or you run out of little blocks for one of the diseases.
Okay.
Because you run out of blocks, that means, well, so many people are infected that it's game
That
over.
that you're fucked.
Yeah.
FUCT.
But yeah, so each of the players play one particular type of member of the CDC, and all of them have a slightly different power. The medic can basically, you can treat people individually when you're in a city and remove disease blocks normally, and so the medic can cure people more quickly than other people. The researcher can research diseases more easily. There's a
Okay.
guy who can help people move about the board more easily. I forget. There's someone
Like
else.
a like a Fema guy, except good at his job.
Yeah, well, basically he's the coordinator.
Okay.
I forget the actual term, but anyways, so the first game we played actually is one that I'm remembering. We first time I ever played the game, and some of the other people at the table had played it before, and they mentioned how hard it was. And it's not an easy game, but oh my god, it was an awesome and really tense game, and it came down to the wire. We were on like the last step before the doomsday counter ticked over when we were cured the last disease, and if we hadn't cured it on that turn, the
Everyone out
the
on
next
Earth would have
card
died.
would have actually clicked us to the next doomsday counter.
Damn.
We won
Nice.
in the nick of time, and it was awesome.
That sounds like an Oliver Stone movie.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was. I think there was an Oliver Stone movie about basically that topic,
Yeah. Called Contagion or something.
something like that.
It came out recently.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
A few years as recently.
It's probably longer than that now I'm thinking about it. God, but if you haven't tried out Pandemic, I really recommend it. It's a great game with a sort
Cool.
of dark topic, but a lot of fun. It's a really good game, and there's several very good expansions for it too.
Like
Um,
Zombie Outbreak. Actually,
yeah.
All Flesh. Not All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Can't remember the name of it. It's another co-op game. Asterix, where it's sort of like survive the zombie apocalypse.
Okay, I
And
know what you're talking about. It's not All Flesh. Yeah, All Flesh Must Be Eaten is the RPG, isn't it?
yes, yes. I think it's actually just called Zombies.
It might be. There's one called that.
But I say cooperative asterisks because you can help each other out. But there are times when nothing's stopping you from shooting the other players and taking their stuff.
Right.
And sometimes it's just what you gotta do.
Oh wow. But yeah, so Eric, anything else that any other sort of great moments you've had?
Let me see here. Um, I'm sure there's stuff. I need to drink more. I'll come up with the stuff as the night goes
All
on.
right. Yeah. I guess God, I'm trying to think of particularly good moments that are we haven't talked about before is the thing.
Yeah, because we've talked about a lot of the absolute best, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess another sort of one of those moments that I really sort of I look back at it and I really enjoyed. It was in an RPG. Uh, there's one I do want to talk about from the Star Wars game we played in.
Oh, which one is this?
This is
Actually,
it was the bit where the bounty hunter was after us.
the Sith?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
The
okay.
whatever her name was, and
Yeah,
she basically spent most of the session ended up with like different pairs of the group getting basically captured by her. I
right.
believe you and Hannah were captured first.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, and then Will and Leland's characters went out to rescue you guys and got themselves caught.
right.
That was a wonderful moment because basically they busted in the hold, found you guys unconscious. The hold fills with gas. Will's character falls unconscious. Leland, being playing a droid,
Being a droid.
shrugs that off and goes stomping off to find the captain, who then slaps an EMP grenade onto him. Leland's face
I
when Chris did
remember when I
that.
came to and the holding cell. I was like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. You're not going to go to the bathroom. I got to go to the bathroom. You're not going to go to the bathroom. It's going to be really stinky because I had some really spicy Rhodian food, and you don't want to get it you don't want to see me with it stuck in my hair. It's going to be disgusting. That ended up backfiring, if I remember correctly.
I think it did, yes.
Yeah, I
But
was
yeah,
playing a Wookiee for those who don't know, and we had established at some point that Rhodian food was the Star Wars equivalent of Indian food.
yep.
This is where I was unknowingly playing a Wookiee version of Lister from
Yeah.
Ride to War.
But yeah, so everyone was basically unconscious, leaving me sitting here on on the ship, and I'm sort of going,
Hmm.
well, on the one hand, there's nothing stopping me from just leaving at this point. I have a fuck ton of cash in the ship.
That's right. Why is it always you who ends up being able to go, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. You can be captured all you like.
Because I usually these past two games where I've been playing the Weasley Conharsty type.
Right.
And that time I was the guy who flew the ship. I mean, and I'm there going, well, the thing is that fortunately in that case I actually wasn't going to do that.
Right.
Although I did scare you guys when I said I take off first. That was the best part. So I knew what ship they were on, and I decided that okay, I've got what can I do? I am probably the second least effective person in combat in the entire group, unless unless it's a ship to ship combat, in which case I'm
Right.
actually terrifying.
That's right. You did outclass the 10-year-old with a blaster.
Oh, actually,
Really.
I wasn't counting. I wasn't counting Keith because he
Oh,
was
okay.
a party MC. I was counting Hannah's character.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Not was worse in combat than I was. But that's because she was the engineer.
Right.
So at any rate, so I asked, we're on the Lock, which is this planet run by pirates, and they really, they don't have like air control or anything like that. So I basically asked Chris if Lock's fire, air control was as its usual self, and he said, yeah. I said, okay, well I take off, and I swear to God, your guys' faces when I said I take off was priceless. I thought Leland was going to leap across the room and strangle me for a brief moment. Like,
Which I wouldn't put it past him, but I think once I got over the shock, if you had actually done that, I would have been like, Okay, well played, sir.
But I wasn't going to do that. So what I did was basically the first thing I did is actually I had Keith get off the ship, and if I remember correctly, I basically told him to raid your supply of thermal detonators
Yes.
and sneak around the bottom of her ship and basically plant them on the landing gear
Yep.
with a sort of remote detonator for them. Because well, I'm a bastard.
Right.
At which point I flew directly over her ship and pointed the ventral turret down at her and calmed her. At which point I basically spent the next, I think, 20 minutes, like 15 or so minutes of real time talking with her.
Yeah. There's a lot of blustering and negotiations
Basically,
and
I tried to basically say, well, what if I just pay you double what their bounties are? You can just they can just come back because we can afford that easily.
right. This is right after we had that big score.
We had a huge score, and if I remember
Like
correctly,
Farscape Shadow Depository level score.
yeah, and if I remember correctly, she actually, well, first off, I found out that she wasn't there for the normal bounties, which we'd hacked and found out what they were. There's
Right.
the Shadow Exchange bounties, which were about double. And apparently, mine was kind of egregious.
Yeah. Well, you cooked up the forgery of the holocron for
What?
the
Just
crime
because I
boss,
rooked a crime boss?
which was awesome.
Yeah. So I basically offered to buy them out, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't do that. That'll be a real hit on my reputation as a bounty hunter." And I'm like, "Fuck, God damn it! The bounty hunter really cares about her reputation. Shit." I was hoping for the easy way.
Right.
At which point I thought, well, if I keep her talking, maybe Eric will actually, maybe someone will be able to figure a way to get out of this on the ship when she's not paying attention to them. At
The
which point
fact that you
you
mentioned my
actually,
name and I was playing an absolute idiot.
yeah, well, you weren't an idiot. You were just sort of about average intelligence.
Right.
But you were
For the
you.
crew, I was an idiot.
Well, yes. Well, the problem is you're being compared to me, Hannah, and Leland's characters.
Yeah. A genius level tech. I don't even remember what your intelligence was. It was up there.
It was 16, I think.
Yeah, and a custom built combat droid.
Yeah. So yeah, So yeah, I was, I think, the third smartest in the group. I think Leland and Hannah were the same intelligence.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I figured I keep her talking, and the big thing is your character was a Wookiee, so you're really tough, and B,
Right.
you were tough for a Wookiee.
This is true.
So you actually came to again. And
It continued to annoy her.
if I remember correctly, no, she was unconscious. She was busy talking to me. You
Right.
grabbed one of Will's lightsabers and cut yourself out of your restraints.
Did I do that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, we'll say I did that.
And what happened at that point is you started walking up the corridor towards the bridge, sort of a bit
That's
groggy.
right. I snuck up on her and
And you
bashed her
got to
head
the
in
edge
the
of the bridge,
console.
and you heard me talking to her. And you're like, "Oh, sweet." You poked her in the corner to see if she was actually looking out the door, and she was. She was looking at the thing. At which point, I could see you on the pickup.
Yep.
So I knew that basically I just had to keep her talking a little bit longer. And I got to get to the point where I basically, if I remember correctly, I said to her effectively, "Okay, well, see, here's the." So she basically said, "Yeah, well, I guess we're at a detente then." I'm like, "Well, sort of." You see, the thing is I know my crew really well, and I could have left and such, but they're my crew, and that's actually kind of important to me. And I know my crew, especially Ken and Natu, and Ken's really tough, so he's probably no longer unconscious at this point, if he was. And
Right.
either through his brute strength or Natu's superb technical skills, he's probably gotten himself free by now. And in fact, I'm fairly certain by about now he's probably snuck up behind you and is about to strangle you.
I didn't actually strangle her. I said hi and then bashed her head into her own console.
Yeah, if I
Many,
remember
many
correctly,
times.
if I remember correctly, before she actually went unconscious, Chris actually had her say, "Good plan."
And I remember, like, as soon as we got Leland's battle droid out, he like picked her up and threw her out the canopy of her own ship.
He did. Oh, that was hilarious.
That was really funny. I remember that now.
That was one of the several truly awesome moments in that campaign.
It was a good campaign.
It was. It would be awesome to get back to it someday, but I don't think it's going to happen
Yes,
anytime soon.
probably not.
So
I
you got
mean,
anything else? You got anything, Eric?
um, I'm actually remembering a bit from a from War Machine, a tabletop war game. For those who don't know, sort of steampunk with very large steam-powered robots.
Right.
And I was actually at a tournament. I was playing against a Menoth. Menoth is very much a basically take the worst aspects of Christianity and Islam, throw them together, and give them magic and steam-powered robots.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I was playing Kador, which is pre-Soviet Russia, but more evil.
Yeah.
And the player was playing Fior, who's very much a damage-oriented warcaster. Warcaster's central character, the central figure in any army. They control the warjacks, the steam-powered robots, and basically they're so important if they go down, that the game's over. It can devolve into sack the quarterback. And he had just barely failed an assassination run on by Warcaster, the butcher, who is basically a walking tank and not much else.
Yep.
He completely lacks in subtlety. He gets by being very tough and very killy in hand-to-hand combat.
Yep.
It was a beautiful run. It was a gorgeous run. They was some effect had knocked over the butcher, so he was on his back. Grenades exploded all around him. Fiora charged him, cut him to ribbons. He's end of everything. He's sitting there with a single health point left. Which point I promptly, my turn comes around. I promptly have the butcher get up, face Fiora because she had back charged him, and planted his axe into her head 3 times.
Nice.
Won the game. I was completely outplayed. I will not deny this. Guy should have had me dead to rights. He played the entire game like a virtuoso violinist, but dice were not on his side, and I won through sheer stupid luck and an axe.
Oh God, we actually had I think it was like 3 games in a row we played against each other.
Right.
That were all like down to like the final moment, and I think every single time it basically boiled down to whoever went for the kill first failed, but still ended up winning because the other person failed to kill the other person back barely.
Yeah.
The last one was the most memorable that off the top of my head. It was me. I was playing my Signar army against Eric's Kador, and I was playing Siege Brisbane, who's one of the tougher of Signar's casters. He's a siege warfare specialist in theory, and he's got a bunch of powers that sort of allow him to reshape the battlefield and do crazy things. And Eric was playing the Butcher as usual because Eric really likes the Butcher. And so
I could do subtlety, but I prefer the direct approach.
Yes. So I spent the first couple of turns basically maneuvering, dropping things, clearing things out of the way, so I could set up my big turn of, drop anything that's screening the butcher out of the way by dropping them into a foxhole because I can do that. Snapping
Right.
off Siege's feet breach, which basically any enemy in his control area has their armor halved for whenever anyone attacks them, their armor counts as half the first time they're the first time they're hit that turn, their armor's halved. That's right. It's the first time they're hit.
Right.
And so I basically said and, boom, drop you into, basically I move in, I tag you first with my rocket launcher because I do that.
Right.
Drop you into, so do that because I got myself line of sight, and then drop the guys who are screening you from my long gunners into a foxhole. And the long gunners open with a giant combined range attack, do a huge ton of damage, do their rapid shot, fire the second one, and leave you at like 2.
Yeah. I was limping.
Fuck, because his Butcher's now in range of siege, and he's low on focus, so his armor's a little bit lower. And so Butcher and the rest of your army come tearing into siege and hammer him. And all of a sudden I look and I realize unless Eric rolled, like you were swinging for your last swing, and I realized by my math that you'd rolled a little bit low early.
Yeah.
And then if you did not roll really well in that last swing, I was going to live with like 1 or 2 health.
Right.
And so and wham! Your face when you realized that I was alive.
Yes.
Because you looked over, you saw the log gunner sitting there basically going,
Yeah, I remember that game.
It was a great game. It was one of our
It was
best of the.
loads of fun because we were both basically playing at the top of our games,
We were both.
and
It was. Neither of us made any mistakes, as near as I could tell.
right, and yeah, basically I saw the drop and pop coming. I was banking on being able to survive it and then counter attacking.
Yeah,
This is exactly what happened, but the dice were not with me.
yeah. I rolled a little bit below average, but
Right.
not. I was planning on that, but I miscalculated. I miscalculated how tough you were that round. Sorry, Eric. You survived with, I believe, three. Were three on that first after the first round
Yeah,
because I
and
miscounted how much focus you were holding on to.
yeah, I held on to everything except
So I
enough
made one
to
mistake.
maintain
Had I
the
counted the
pleasant
focus
defense.
correctly, I would have thrown in one more attack from somewhere. I don't remember where,
Yeah,
but I think I had
I
something
don't
else I
think
could
you
have.
had one. I think I remember
No,
looking at it and go.
I think you're right. That's right.
I don't think you had one. I think I remember looking at it and going, if I can soak this alpha, I will be able to win.
Yeah,
And that was not good.
oh, that's right. I would have. I had my backup plan was to hold off for the next turn
Right.
and just start whittling your forces down because, well,
But I was getting close to charge range, and I that's one place where that particular build of my Kador army really excels.
yeah, yeah. Basically, that at that point, I think it would have been probably would have basically picked up some stuff with the long gunners, throw up another smoke screen with the trenchers, and hope.
Yeah,
But no, but it was a great game. It really was.
it was loads of fun. Man, I miss War Machine.
Yeah, we should play again at some point.
We should.
Oh God. So actually, I'm remembering another one of those little moments that popped up during that Star Wars game.
Okay.
Um, and this is sort of a sort of a sort of a sort of a little sort of branching little series of things that happened. It's when we got hired by the rebels to sneak into the Imperial base on Locke,
Hmm.
and if I remember correctly, basically frame the local Moff for something.
Yes.
And so we had to go in there and plant some data on the computer there, and we're also busting out some prisoners.
Which was incidental to our actual.
Well, no, that was actually
Right.
part of the other thing. That was one of the two things we were hired to do.
Right. But that was the
So
secondary objective.
yeah, so we're heading in. The first thing I remember it was basically we were trying to work out how to get ourselves in there, and we needed a diversion, and if I remember correctly, someone jokingly suggested that you basically set some sort of explosive somewhere. And because Eric's character was one of his things is he was really fond of blowing stuff up with explosives because
Yes,
Eric likes things that go boom.
it's true.
And
And
a
many
lot
of
of the
my characters.
time, it was my job to basically talk Eric down because it was actually not a good idea at that moment.
Yeah, it
So,
was very much a, well, why don't we just have Kenrako blow up the munition stores?
oh God.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I started saying, well, which one you interrupted me before I could say anything. It's basically gives passionate speech about, why you thought it was a good idea. And I was like, but I was going to say that was a good idea, and it was actually probably the right thing to do. And Eric's expression, and basically it was Eric basically playing Kenrako at that point,
right.
which is like, oh my God, Nalem agrees with me.
And then Kenrako does his happy dance.
Yeah. He's like, sweet. I'm like, yeah, belong at the munition dump? That's actually a really good idea right now. It's like, wait, what?
I
But
remember that. That was where I decided to set up the explosives in the shape of his smiley face.
yes. So we're going in, and all of everyone in the group is doing they're basically playing entirely to their strengths. Natu's hacking stuff. You know, Will's character and Leland's character are kicking all kinds of ass, and we're doing it very quietly at this point because
Right.
we don't want to tip our hands yet. So we walk in, and the whole plan was basically that Will and Leland's characters were disguising themselves as stormtroopers and escorting me, who's disguised as the archetypical Celestin technician, because I was playing a Celestin, to the base commander's office so I could get access to
Right.
his computer. And so we open the door, and we're met by the secretary. And
The secretary actually knew what the hell was up.
yeah, So Will basically walks in and does, these are not the, he does his whole, because he's playing a quasi-Jedi, so he basically tries to use, his mind control, these are not the droids you're looking for type of thing. And it fails miserably because his character's not good at it.
It's true. Will built his character entirely around cutting stuff up with lightsabers,
And so I
which
stop,
is
look
not
at
a
him.
bad plan most of the
Right,
time.
so I stop, look at him, and I proceed to start talking, which is a thing that my character is very good at.
Yes.
And proceed to start rolling epic bluff check after epic bluff check, and we got in to talk to the guy. And so he basically was in
All
the
the
middle of a
crazy
call.
frick social skills, never.
When I've got the option, I like doing it a fair bit. At any rate, so we get to see that the secretary agrees to let us in, but the reason she didn't want to let us in is because the base commander was on an important call. Turned out with a fleet admiral. And
Right.
I say, but I've got to upgrade to this computer upgrade thing, and he's like, can you do it in like 10 minutes? I'm like, oh, okay, sir, fine. And as I'm leaving, I basically say to Chris, okay, I want to surreptitiously just drop an open comlink on the floor right by the door. And Chris is like, okay. So I do this. We close the door, and I calm our rebel contact and tell her what's up. And she's like, okay, cool. It's too bad you couldn't have had a chance to bug the office. And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, if you tune into
As a matter of fact,
if
dear.
you come into com frequency 3 what number, you'll be able to hear what he's talking about right now. She's like, how the hell did you bug his office? I dropped an open comic on the floor on the way out. And she's like, I thought I was the commando. I'm like, I'm a crook. I cheap and dirty tricks for my job. But that wasn't the truly best part about that whole thing. It was after the mission was wrapped up, and basically what we needed to do at this point, what the rebels wanted now was to go to the other ship. Go to this. Basically, the Moff at this point had been arrested as a traitor, and the whole point by this
Right.
was he's going to be arrested by a traitor. They'd go in, free him, and basically say, "Well, we freed you. We'll send you back if you don't actually agree to defect."
Right.
And so they basically say, "We need someone to fly out there and get him." And looking at us, and we're all like, "No."
We are not going up against Star Destroyers. Screw you.
Well, I was like, no. I think
Right.
Will was in for it. Was definitely in.
Yeah.
Um, Will,
Leland's character is in because he's a bloodthirsty killbot.
yeah. Um, you ended up agreeing eventually, and it basically
Yeah.
boiled down to like me, and it's like okay. And she's like, look, we need. This will need an extremely good pilot for the escape. And I'm like, I can't be the only good pilot you guys know. And she's like, well,
Well, we do know this one Trandoshan, but he's not really trustworthy. This is a character of mine from a previous game.
yeah. I guess I gotta. So yeah, I gotta get the exact wording for this. I actually have it written down what the actual bit of the conversation because this was just hilarious. Because I, let's see. There we go. There we go. I just gotta see if I can find this. But basically, she basically spending time trying to convince me. Will tried to convince me through all sorts of things, and I'm sitting there going, Will continually not to understand how my character works.
Right. Well, Will's character not understanding how your character works.
I don't think Will understood it either.
He might not have.
I don't know. I mean, he clearly never got my sort of whole loyalty to the crew thing, which if he'd argued
Right.
that, it probably would have worked.
That's true. Well, your crew's doing it.
Fuck. If you don't go, well, then the crew's going to be screwed. I'm like, bloody hell. All right, let's see. I think this is right one. Nope, that's one after that. Sorry for the little delay here, but
God damn it! You're destroying everything forever.
here we go. So basically, she's basically trying to like convince. Like I basically say, I understand why you want like Ken Rocco, DY, and Jack to go. They're all combat machines. But why the hell do you need us? I mean, Nato's a technician, and I'm a crook, and I'm not especially sneaky, and I'm only okay in a fight. I mean, and so Jasenia, the name of the rebel contact, says, well, Nato's the best technician we know of, so her skills will be invaluable for dealing with security systems. Secondly, once you are back on the transport, we'll need the best pilot and astrogator available to get out of there in one piece. All right, that makes sense. So she asked me, will you do it? I'm like, okay, how much are you paying us? She's like, well, to be honest, we don't have that much money on us now. I'm like, I hate the Empire, and that's part of the reason I've been willing to work for you guys, so I get to kick them in the shins. And we've been promised a lot of money, and we don't have it yet. And I'm all for kicking the Empire in the shins, and I really like you. I kind of like you guys, but at which point Chris, our GM, basically says, Nalem, this operation is really important, and frankly, I don't think it'll work without you. Not too deep for the rest of you guys. I know, despite what you say, deep down, you're a good man and that your morals really aren't for sale. To which I'm like, yes, they are.
I remember that.
And so eventually, she pulls the whole sort of, well, I guess we bring this guy Kroskin, but he's not entirely trustworthy. Might actually sell people out to the Empire. I'd have to go along, and I'm sort of going, fuck. I actually kind of like Jasenia. I actually respect her. Fine. So before I agree to this tomfoolery, I have one last question. Do you have any? Do you have? So this is the bit right here.
Right.
I took down the notes on this because some of the exchanges were great. Do you have any other people in mind in case we don't agree? Well, technically I do, but they're greedy, amoral, and incredibly mercenary. At which point, Hannah had the best line of the night. Actually, she says, "And Nalem isn't." I'm like, "Thank you, not to." Eventually, we basically, the last little bit in this entire scene was basically negotiating the final payment. They basically, we don't have a lot of money right now. At which point you quipped that, great, I bet they'll offer us ranks in the Rebel Alliance in lieu of some of the payment. And we said, well, we can do that if you'd like. And we're all like, no!
I had forgotten about that.
It's one of the best moments. All five of us basically just like, no!
No, it was a chorus. It was beautiful.
Oh, God, that was a fun game. All right, so you got anything else, Eric?
I'm actually reminded of our Pirates game, and the problem is to tell the story. This is again, Hannah was also in the Star Wars game. To tell the story, I need to do the voice she does for a particular character,
Oh, God. And
and
it's hard.
I can't do it. She manages to hit this like perfect pitch of annoying gaspy squeak for this mad scientist character of hers. I can't do it.
Well, which story was it? Which bit was it?
It's the bit where we're stealing the art objects from the ambassador.
Okay.
So basically, we've been hired to steal a particular artifact from this alien ambassador. Largely because we're between jobs at the moment. We needed the money for one reason or another, and it would allow our more stealthy characters to show off their skills.
Right.
So they come up with the classic plan of sneaking into the embassy via the ventilation shafts. There's Will's commando. Basically, he was playing a government Jason Bourne style assassin who got burned and was freelance now, and was bitter about it.
Very bitter.
Hannah's mad scientist anthropomorphic newt. And who else is sneaking in there?
Burr was there.
Burr was there, right? Burr the blob, and
Was Chris's character there or not? I forget.
think Chris's character was there. I was the getaway driver because I was the least sneaky thing on that planet.
Pretty much.
But it's after we've already pretty much cleaned out the vault with all the art in it. The particular object we were hired to take and everything else because we were pirates.
Yeah.
And they're sneaking through to the air vents. They start hearing voices. Something's been they couldn't understand the language being spoken, but like little asterisks translated from insert alien language here. Someone's broken in, blah blah blah. Turned out someone else had broken in. We need to check everything. And the Hannah's character, the panicky anthropomorphic newt mad scientist starts panicking. At which point Will's commando grabs him by the throat, shoves him against the wall, and says, "Be quiet." Does this mean we're dating now?
Because she does not understand humans in any way, shape, or form. Her character does not understand humans in any way, shape, or form.
And The entire room cracked up. Just the way she delivered it. It's like, if we get at which point Will says, if we get out of this, I'll buy you all the cricket bars you want. Already the love gifts begin.
And she spent the next like 2 sessions basically letting him down easy
It was hilarious.
because they're not compatible in any way, shape, or form.
And it just wouldn't work. He doesn't have the right parts.
They're both male.
She was sure he was very attractive for his
Yeah.
species.
And the looks of just like Will's looks were just so priceless
They really were.
because he really did a great job of conveying the whole I just don't want to deal with this.
They just
Sure, whatever.
the resigned irritation at having to deal with this.
It was absolutely beautiful because it's clear that he's like he at this point had realized that you just can't reason with the doctor.
With the doctor. The doctor is completely mad and delusional. It's one of her funniest characters, completely incompatible with everyone else. Which is why he's largely a bit player. But
He's so freaking funny.
by all rights, we should have spaced him by now 5 times. But he's just too much fun.
He's also he does things that none of you the rest of the group can do.
That's true. He proves it to be really useful at the right when you really just want to just plat him in the head. He does something really useful.
Yeah, Chris's character on multiple cases. Why does he keep being useful? We can't shoot him.
I really wish I could do the voice justice because it's all about Hannah's delivery.
Her delivery is so perfect for the character.
It's right on.
I mean, it's just like yeah, Eric's right. It as good as the bit is, her delivery of this character is so priceless.
We should have her on at some point.
We have
just
to
do the voice.
Yeah, we have to definitely have her on at some point. I think, I mean, we both have more great moments we want to talk about, and we'll talk about them. We'll certainly talk about it during other shows because that's what happens. And we'll also probably have another sort of great moments show. I'd like to get Chris on some week just so he can talk about some of his favorite moments from
Yes,
various
this
games.
is also true.
Because he's got some great stories and he's a good storyteller.
Yes, he's actually an excellent storyteller.
But I think we should probably get to questions before we run out of time. It's
Wow, that totally blew by.
yeah, it did, didn't it?
Holy
I
crap.
love talking. Part of this is telling RPG stories and game stories is a lot of fun.
It is.
It really is.
It's a great standby for we didn't prepare.
Yeah, it really is. So we're going to get to questions now. So if you guys here in the chat have any questions, please start getting them ready to ask. I'm going to answer the one email question. Go to the one email question first, and then we'll take anything we get in the chat after that. So if you want to start asking, feel free. This email comes from Brett Cosby. And he says, hey guys, I've been having a problem with 2 of my players specifically, and I'm sort of in a bad zone, don't want to be the bad guy again. I've had this Pathfinder game running for a while now with a group of friends over TeamSpeak and map tools, and all was going well, until one of my players, S, as I'll be referring to him, up and left the group. Before this, though, he had lost his internet for various reasons and couldn't get on as frequently as he used to, because he has to mooch his internet. That's understandable.
These things happen.
Yeah. Well, the week after he lost his internet, he was there on time, and all was fine. But the second week, he was gone. So I called the game off and tried to call him, text him, PM, and everything, for whatever means I could, but couldn't get any answer from him. So the next week, not hearing anything from him, we just played without him, his character incapacitated for the session. Every week I tried to contact him and no replies. And after the third week, I got annoyed and thought he ditched us. So after much deliberation asking the players what they thought, I replaced him. After about a month and a half, I replaced him. He pops up out of the blue on game day in TeamSpeak ready to play. I tell him I basically had to drop him from the campaign, and surprisingly, no argument ensued. He was cool with it because he understood. So that's great. That's awesome.
Right.
Now, fast forward about 2 weeks, and now S's replacement is doing the exact same freaking thing. And it's been going on for a month already. And I've tried the
Oh.
same thing, calling, Skype, texting, etc. I've already been the bad guy, kicked S out, and I feel like crap for doing it. And now the other players are saying, screw S's replacement and let S back into the game. He's also been dropping hints he wants back in, but just won't tell me. I despise being the bad guy, but some things have to be done. What should I do?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Dude's gotta go. But yeah,
Uh,
the problem with our friend S here is that he's already proved to be unreliable. Now it could be just real life happens. You know, if he's got a good excuse, that's how it goes. But if it ends up with another month of no show, then yeah.
yeah, basically my take on this at this point is it sounds like the replacement does have to go. And it sounds like the rest of the group really likes S. I mean, it sounds like he's a good guy, and you guys are all friends. So you know what? I would actually say, yeah, allow him back in, but uh, make sure to let him know that if it happens again, you're gonna have to boot him again.
One
And if you have to boot him again, he's not coming back to this game.
one possibility is to give S a bit of leeway because he is mooching his internet and that is rough.
Yeah, true.
Um, is make his character sort of the it's done a lot in TV and such. Just have him be like the cast member that drops in and out,
Yeah,
which is hard on the GM, but isn't that difficult to pull off, especially if you have some sort of warning,
yeah,
which you probably won't if his internet is as unreliable as you're making it sound.
yeah. And additionally, basically, just make sure to say, make sure to reinforce him that if he's expecting, he's not gonna be able to make it in a week, to let you know. And if he can't let you know, to at least let you know at some point, somehow, that he's apologized that he missed he explained why he missed last session or what have you, and let you know when he expects he'll be able to get back. If
Also, the dude's got to respond to your text when you go, "Where are you? We've got game."
Yeah,
He's got to do that. The end.
and even if it's basically to say, make sure to make it clear to him that if he as long as he tells you that if you text him say what happened, as long as you reply, uh, you can at least
Yeah,
work with that.
if he replies at some point during the game after you guys have already written him off, sorry, had sex. That's cool.
Yeah, or sorry, my internet's down, or sorry, or what have you, or even if it's not like during game, if it's like his phone isn't working right now,
Right.
he's out of minutes or what have you. As long as he gets back to you eventually and tells you what's up, that's a big help in my
Yeah.
experience.
And again,
No communication is what sucks.
just make him play like a ranger or something, and so and so decides to wander off again. Continuing on with the plot.
He actually has one other sort of follow-up, one other question that he sort of said, thanks for reading the email, guys. This email is kind of unpleasant due to the situation being unpleasant itself, so after you reply to this, I want the rest of the show to go on as usual. So here's another question. What was your favorite character you've ever roleplayed as?
Oh, oh wow, that's
That's a tough topic.
I think in these 10 minutes, I'm gonna say the character I played from Godlike, largely because it was like playing two characters because I had split personalities,
Hmm,
and one of them was basically an evil version of Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
awesome. Yeah, I think for me, my favorite character, I mean, I GM most of the time, so I don't get to play characters that much. My favorite character I've played as, Nailum's really, really high on my list.
Nalem was pretty sweet. I like
Nailum
Nalem.
was an awesome character, a lot of fun to play. Um, it has to be either Nailum or my character Gabriel from the Supers game my friend Tox ran, who was it was a superhero game. So he basically was a mutant with wings. Uh, he was very strong. He was very strong, but not like beyond human comprehension. So he's like Captain America level strong and very fat, quick, and such. But his only real superpower that he had himself was that he could fly. He had wings. but he also had a suit of magic armor and basically a magical sword of light. And yes, his name was actually Gabriel. The character's name was Gabriel, and he didn't really have a super name because, well, he sort of hard to hide your identity when you have wings.
Right, right,
But the big thing about the reason the character was a lot of fun, it wasn't really his powers or anything like that, was because the whole shtick behind the character is he was a retired superhero. He basically retired because he felt that his sort of more his sort of views and opinion, basically his way he dealt with fighting crime and sort of his morality and such was a little bit out of date in the current period. And it was time for him to retire because he felt like well, I'm getting older, and such. But he doesn't really age much, it turns out. So the big thing is that he basically unretired because basically he realized that people needed the city that he was living in retired needed superheroes and there weren't many around. So he's like, fine, I'll help because I that's sort of what I
because
do. It's
that's
part
what
of
I
who I
do.
am.
Right.
And he really wasn't really good at being retired. But his whole shtick wasn't that he was super powerful. He was incredibly skilled. So while he was fairly dexterous and quick and strong, he was hyper accurate. Had a lot of cool combat tricks he could do because he had lots of experience over the years. And so he also had this reputation as like old superheroes. Those everyone sort of assumed he was over the hill. But so like as things were going along, it kept like, is Gabriel actually over the hill? It doesn't look like he slowed down.
I seem to remember your descriptions of the game was that everyone was playing Iron Age type characters and you were playing Silver Age, and
No, it
wackiness
wasn't
ensued.
that. We were all playing Silver Age characters, and the campaign world was Iron Age.
Ah, okay.
It was a great. It was awesome because there was like this group of super. It was like my character was three of the characters were all of us were technically old. Just
Right,
Aaron's character was actually an alien and just arrived on Earth. But so we all were basically like my character was like in his 60s. Joey's character was in like her 50s or so, and Peter Shaw's character was like 70 or so, and all of us basically had reduced aging for various reasons. And so we're
right,
all experienced heroes who weren't like super powerful but had lots of experience and had a
right.
different ethos than most of the rest of the heroes around us. And we kept like just like we like, oh well, yeah, we'll work with the police. The police are helpful. We just want they just do they're just trying to do their job. And it's like, wait, what? Like, so it's like, oh, okay, we got to the crime scene. We dealt with superhero villains. It's like there's a crime scene, and the police show up and they look like sort of like or superheroes. We're like, oh, you're here, great. We'll get out of your way so you can deal with the forensics. And they're like, what? We're like,
Well, that's what you
we're
guys do.
superheroes.
We
We don't
punch things.
we hit supervillains. We don't like we're none of us are forensic scientists. And they're like, okay.
We're
And
not
there's another bit where
detectives.
like,
We just tell us who we're supposed to punch.
right, like there's one other time when Peter Shaw's character was out on patrol and there's like and what happened? He was playing a battlesuit character and he saw a crime happen. It was a bunch of normal guys stole something. It was like a car, and so what he ended up doing was just following them and radioing the cops to tell them where they were. But it's like I technically can't arrest them, and if I
I'm a
try to
private
like stop
citizen.
them, they're normal people. I'll obliterate them. Let the cops do it. The crooks are like, what the hell? And the cops show up and arrest them, and it's like, and the cops started just like went from like your heroes to like grudging respect to like, you know, these guys are kind of awesome. So the cops were firmly on our side, and we kept like talks kept trying to like throw like moral decisions at us. Like there was a villain who had basically a dirty bomb in the basement of this like award show, and I was confronting him, and he's like, here's what we'll do. I will give you the code to disarm the bomb if you swear that you will that you will let me go free. At which point, without missing a beat, said, just give me the code. I swear I won't try to stop you from escaping. And he's like, what?
I
Well,
swear I won't stop you from
well,
escaping.
that was my point. Yes. Unfortunately, the we didn't quite catch him. But he talks on it was like it'd be like sort of a how do I handle this? But it was like, well, my job is to save as many people as possible. And yeah, he could do awful things in the future, but if I try to stop him and fail, the bomb will blow up and kill like 1,000 people.
Right.
No. It was just a lot of fun. He was a great character to play. Uh, So weirdly, both are two of our favorite characters were both superheroes, effectively.
Yeah, well, I was more of a supervillain on a tight leash, but
But yeah,
yeah, I remember with that character at one point where we had broken into a supervillain facility, sort of a Hydra type deal, a Hydra slash Cobra type deal.
yeah,
And the other two characters in the campaign was like, okay, you hack the computers and clear our way. We'll go on. And I was playing a shapeshifter who was also a genius level hacker.
right,
And the problem is to use my powers, I had to be in the evil personality. Because of the way I had built the character.
right,
So I was in my evil personality. I was hacking the computers, and one of the powers I had bought for the shapeshifter was multitasking. So my character quickly gets very bored doing only one thing. And we had some incapacitated guards. He had recently been studying Roman Greco architecture. So he decided to start carving recreations of classic Roman friezes from architecture into the people's chests.
oh dear,
Because he's also completely batshit insane.
right,
How I built the characters. How I got so many points to make a lunatic shapeshifter. I was also having fun with the idea of playing an evil character stuck in a good party.
yeah.
Um, and they eventually come back. It's okay. We took care of it. What have you done? You guys left me alone for hours. It was 15 minutes. Yeah, hours.
Oh God, yeah. Darth Elmo in the chat asks, can we give a quick difference, sort of definitions, sort of difference between Silver Age and Iron Age comic books?
Oh,
I can give you a more sort of historical sort of thing. The Silver Age basically ran from God, I forget when it started, sort of in the 50s roughly, and it lasted until about the early 1970s. Uh, it pretty much was sort of the try to it's basically
the Silver Age was very restricted by the comics code.
yeah, that's the big thing. It was the era when the comics code was really in force. So there was a lot of things that they really couldn't do. The bad guys had to lose. They never could show the bad guys, profiting from their evil deeds, et cetera, et cetera.
The cops could never be shown in a poor light. Um, Death, while not verboten, was greatly frowned upon.
Yep.
That sort of deal. And
Yeah.
The Iron Age is when they revoked the comics code.
Well, there was the Bronze Age in between,
There was a Bronze Age in between.
which was basically it was when Marvel started doing the X-Men, and they started giving the characters more sort of like realistic human motivations.
Right.
Um, and the Iron Age basically started with pretty much around the time Image came around. It
I'd say a
started
little
before
bit
that,
earlier. The real genesis of it, I'd say, is probably Watchmen.
Watchmen and the Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah.
But that's obviously when it started. But it's the big difference is that the Silver Age stuff tends to be a bit more lighthearted, sort of wackier in many ways. Villains often meet their end by their own creations.
Yeah, it was there's very much the time of Batmite and I will use a giant city destroying robot to rob banks.
Yeah.
Sort of deal.
And I've got a soft spot in my heart for the Silver Age stuff, despite the fact that it sort of ended right about when I sort of was born. A lot of the comic books that I read were older copies from earlier, so I grew up reading some of that stuff, and you can still see some elements of the Silver Age in the early Bronze Age stuff.
Meanwhile, I tend to enjoy the good Iron Age stuff. The
Oh.
problem with the Iron Age is that the Iron Age really came into full swing in the 90s, which was during the whole collector's boom, when comics were the most prolific and the least quality controlled thing out there.
Yep.
So there's tremendous amounts of shit.
Yeah.
Complete shit. Liefeldian shit.
Yeah. To be fair, there's a lot of really bad Silver Age stuff out there. I mean,
Yeah.
really, really bad.
I'd say there's probably more bad Iron Age stuff out there, honestly.
I would say that the Iron Age stuff, there's probably about the same amount of bad stuff, but the bad Iron Age stuff is apocalyptically bad.
Yes. But like early Spawn was pretty good
Yep.
until McFarlane realized he had a cash cow and went nuts. Hellboy is very much an Iron Age
Absolutely.
character, and he is my absolute favorite comic character ever created, hands down.
Yep, he's great. Hellboy's awesome. Hellboy's fantastic. There's some really good stuff that came out of the Iron Age, and some really good stuff that you know has come
Guy
out of the Iron
Gardner
Age.
is an Iron Age character, and I love Guy Gardner to death.
I'm not a big Guy Gardner fan myself, but I understand why you
But
like
he's
him.
such a douchebag. It's hilarious.
That's part of the reason I don't like Guy Gardner. At
But
any rate,
so often he pays for his douchebaggery in hilarious ways.
yeah, but it's that's it. The thing is that they actually managed to eventually people started taking some of the lessons that they should have learned from that Watchmen and both Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns really basically deconstructed the superhero, and a lot of there some of the better authors during the Iron Age sort of saw that and said, "Oh, awesome! We could do some really interesting stuff with that," and did. The
And
problem is
everyone
that
else learned the exact wrong lessons.
right, everyone else basically went, "Cool, like boo, death and murder and all this." It's like, oh god, guys,
Guns everywhere. Everyone has guns forever.
no, guys. Oh, but
Cable is an Iron Age character, and that's all you need to know.
yeah, weirdly, some interesting stuff's been done with Cable since then. But
To be fair, Deadpool is an Iron Age
yeah,
character.
I don't like Deadpool.
Deadpool, when he's written well, is really friggin' awesome. When he's written poorly, is just a blight upon comics.
Ugh.
He
He breaks the fourth wall too much for me.
I'm amused by all things meta. This is why I love Cabin in the Woods, which all of you should see.
At any rate, after sort of the Iron Age sort of effectively ended at some point, and we're sort of in the beginnings of a sort of a new age of comics. There's some good stuff being done now, some bad stuff being done now, like every other age. My
Right.
personal, both Eric and I we've as we mentioned before, huge fans of Kurt Busiek's Astro City, and
Has he
that's
done anything new with that recently?
not recently. He's been ill.
Ah,
Um, but I think they actually finished up the Astro City Dark Age arc. I still have to get volume 2 of that at some point. But
ooh,
uh, the
I'll need to read that. I missed that.
so I'll lend you volume 1.
Awesome.
At any rate, the big thing that Astro City did is it basically looked at sort of the deconstruction of superhero over the 90s and said, okay, why don't we put it back together and make it work again and work better? Because that was sort of the point of deconstruction, is take it apart so you can see what makes it tick and then put it together in a way that works better. And other people during the 90s did that also. So Astro City is takes all the lessons of the Iron Age and the Bronze Age, and then is in most ways almost like a love letter to the Silver Age,
Yeah,
done with the tools
with Iron and Bronze Age sensibilities.
and it's amazing.
It's very good.
Yeah,
We all of you should read Astro City right now.
it if you can get your hands on a copy of Life in the Big City, which is the first trade paperback of it, it's amazing. And if you after that read Confession.
Confessions is pretty brilliant.
Oh my God.
Tarnished Angel is my personal favorite.
Yeah, I think I might like it better than I like Confession, but it's sort of neck and neck. At any rate,
Well, Tarnished Angel is largely about a henchman, and well, I love me my henchman.
yeah,
Part of the reason why I like Deadpool is one of the recurring characters is Bob the Hydra agent.
fair enough. But yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is that Tarnished Angel is about a sort of a two-bit loser of a supervillain who's basically trying to go legit and is trying to basically stay out of the super's world and get sucked back in. But not on the side that but he's sort of trying to stay legit, and it's a great story.
It's
Basically,
a
the
very
basic
good
premise of the
story.
story,
It's very much an old gangster type of story.
it is. It really is. Basically, what's happening in it is somebody is killing off all the old, sort of low-end, 2-bit supervillains,
And
and
hilarity ensues because we
and
really
he,
don't want to ruin this.
yeah, and eventually Steeljack, the main character, gets hired to find out what's happening, and it's a great story. And I cannot recommend it enough. Uh, well, I think that's pretty much all the time we have for tonight. Um,
I think so too.
as always, I've had fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Fun was
next
had.
week we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have an actual topic. Uh, Otherwise we'll probably just talk about more things we've enjoyed in RPGs, or we'll think of something during the week
We'll
though.
think
But
of something. We can't do too many of these or it gets stale.
yeah, it does.
And we run out of stories.
We will eventually run out of stories.
Right.
At any rate, guys, as usual, thanks for listening. If you were here in the live audience, thanks for being here.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, well, it's kinda. So if you you know if you've got if you've got questions that you want answered on the show, if you've got topic suggestions, if you've got feedback, we love to get feedback. You can always contact us at surlygrognards@yahoo.com. That's surlygrognards @yahoo.com. That's our email address. You can find me on Twitter at MechaGM, or you can find me on Facebook or Google Plus, Peter Bowman there. And you can find Eric's work on the webcomic Boston Arcanum. It's good stuff. Go check it out. BostonArcanum.com. BostonArcanum. I'm spelling it right. Am I?
I don't know. I
Arcanum.
was paying
It's
attention.
Boston Arcanum at .com. Go check it out. It's good stuff. Uh, Other than that, I think that's it for this week, guys. Thanks ever so much for being here. It
Thanks for
makes the show a
listening to
better
us to
thing.
Ned on like idiots.
So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. And for me and for my friend Eric here. Have a good night, guys. Say good night to everybody, Eric.
Good night, humans. We'll see you a lot later.